we're coming into that time period with the Easter and spring break where our loved ones are traveling all over the planet. And it's cause for great excitement. And it's also cause for great concern. We want to talk about the contract that we should have with one another before we embark on taking a trip and making sure we establish some rules of engagement. When
all ages, not just spring breakers.
Welcome to Girls Gone Gritty. I'm Farley Boyle, girl mom.
And I'm Jennifer Brenius, boy mom.
Together, we're Team Boyle-Renius. Each other's ride
or die. This is where grit gets real. We don't just talk, we do it.
We're here for the messy stories, the hard-fought lessons, and the courage it takes to keep showing up.
Especially when it's uncomfortable. We bring gratitude and attitude to everything we do.
We jump in head first, unafraid, and are all in all the time.
We bring it on and get it on, diving into unscripted conversations on just about everything.
We don't just talk grit, we live it.
We put the it in grit.
So let's get gritty.
Welcome to another episode of Girls Gone Gritty. Well, we've now entered into April and are getting ready for Easter. And it's not why I have the pink hair, though. I will tell you that if you're watching us online. I went to an 80s party last night to benefit our school, which was so much fun. But the question I have is, are there trends in fashion as there were in the 80s and the 70s? Like everybody had so much fun dressing up in neon and wearing ponytails to the side and being immersed in the 80s.
I don't know what these kids are going to be doing. What is 2000s? Are you going to go to a 2000s party, a 2010s party? I look forward to a 90s or an 80s because you clearly understand what it means and can Google it and it comes up with a million options.
And it was so iconic, I think, too, because if we're in the age of MTV and that visual immersion of music meets fashion, meets rock and roll, it was very clear what the trend was. And now, because of the globalization of everything, there is no trend that's unique. Everything kind of fits. I feel like even the jean trend, I could wear any kind of jean right now and it would be in fashion. Whereas in the 80s and the 70s, it was bell bottoms, and the 80s were
corduroy.
Like, it's interesting. It's interesting.
I've never really thought about that. It's bizarre. And I don't see kids trying to do that. They're always going back into our era because it's clearly defined. Whereas it's a slippery slope once you hit 2000.
Really is. It's fun. And if you haven't had an 80s or 70s party, maybe that's the impetus to go ahead and do that because it really does bring out the crazy in most of us.
People like to put on a costume or a wig.
Well, I think, Farley, you have some fun top threes for us again today.
I certainly do. Number 3, will oral exams defeat the cheat?
Oh, I am so happy about this trend that is taking over some of the colleges at the upper levels where the students have to physically communicate during exam time so they can prove that they comprehended it. They just didn't pull it from ChatGPT or AI.
That's one way of knowing the material and having to recite it. And it prepares you in a lot of different ways for life. I think an oral exam is the way to go.
I agree.
And
I think it's a great trend.
I think that it will work on communication skills. It will give them the ability to do public speaking if they're having issues talking to a professor. I don't know that a professor is going to be able to do that with every single one of their students. So it might be a camera that's set up that they have to answer the questions into.
But if you're poised with the fact that it's any point, your professor can say, today, you are getting an oral exam, then everybody
like a pop quiz.
Then everybody has to be prepared.
Ooh,
I think that's great.
That's UPenn.
Cornell, it's getting traction in a lot of different places.
Ooh, beware.
AI is prevalent.
Scary. All right. And number 2, finally, female sports will be found on Her Sports Hub with just a click of a button.
This is another great story for females everywhere. Hooray. We love to bring this story to you because it was very hard to find female athletic events. Even when I'm looking for NCAA March Madness women,
the men
pop up. Even if I say in my search, I'm looking for the female underdogs. But the fact that men predominantly take over everything and you have to search. I love this.
I think they're also trying to carve out sports on Sundays. Sundays are for the girls. They're going to start showcasing sports events for women, and that's where you'll be able to watch a lot of these incredible athletes perform.
I love that. And I love the fact that after the Olympics, it went up 199% on searchable events for females, and 88% of those were brand new to female sports. So thanks to the Caitlin Clarks and the Lindsey Vonns of the world, women are showing that they're badass. They're willing to take it down to the wire, be injured, and come back.
And there's more women's sports about to make their debut. The WLL lacrosse is here to stay, and it's only getting bigger and better. So that brings us to number 1. Batman Forever, Iceman, now as deep as the grave, Val Kilmer as AI.
This is a troubling story. It permeates the issues that the entertainment industry has with AI, but I see it scaling in other ways. Val Kilmer's family has decided the Val Kilmer movie, As Deep as the Grave, he contracted with Hollywood to be in before he untimely passed. He had been battling cancer for a long time. I'm sure it was tragic, and it was not easy for anybody to make any decisions. However, he passed away and had not started filming this movie, but now using AI, they're going to use his name, image, and likeness to continue him to be alive. And I think that's so scary because I don't know that he put the seal of his approval on this continuation of character, who actually is a priest in this movie.
They showed a bit of it simulated. They showed AI Val Kilmer, a little sniglet, and it's creepy. It's
Val
weird.
2.0.
There's so many things that I have problems with this whole issue. When somebody passes, let them go. Obviously, talk about them and keep them alive in your heart. But trying to keep somebody alive with AI, as we touched upon in another episode, where you can have anybody that you've lost still present. There's a reason that we're supposed to pass, unfortunately. And if we're going to reincarnate all of these people that have gone, there's going to be no room for the 9 billion people in our population by 2050. And forget about it. If you're an actor or an actress, if they're reincarnating the greats, how are you going to get a role? If you can just go backwards and use Marilyn Monroe and Elvis, whoever you want to star, this is going to become a thing because it'll be profitable to a lot of people's estates.
And not only will it be profitable to the estates, it'll be much less cost to the movie houses and the media companies because they don't physically have to pay a person. And how long does that go on? How many generations are able to benefit on things? And then what does that say for the people that are actually living? What does it say for the actors that are currently living that can be equally iconic in their own time? I just, this story.
They should really protest. It should be a big, massive protest. We don't want AI to take over every single thing in the entire world. It's frightening.
Yeah, well, Hollywood's trying. I don't know how successful they'll be, but they're trying.
Just watch the movie Mercy. I watched that last night, and it was the court of law being run by AI so that there's no feeling on either side. It's just the facts. And the system was broken in this movie. I'm not going to give it away, but boy, you sit in a chair that's like a gaming chair and you try to compel the AI judge that you are not guilty. And you can't just go on a hunch or use your gut. Yeah. Well,
there that is.
I don't want to reveal too much, but it is a scary glimpse of the future. And I feel like all these dystopian movies that we watch are much closer to our current reality.
Yeah, well, I hate that because during COVID, I watched Contagion and I was like, oh, we should take some notes. Do we have to go back to the Terminator to see where AI is going?
Yeah.
I hope not.
No.
But on another note, we've mentioned we travel quite extensively, and we're coming into that time period with Easter and spring break where our loved ones are traveling all over the planet, and it's cause for great excitement. It's also cause for great concern. We want to talk about the contract that we should have with one another before we embark on taking a trip and making sure we establish some rules of engagement.
All ages, not just spring breakers, but what's fresh paint for all of us right now. A ripple ripped through the country with Jimmy Gracie and this unfortunate story in Barcelona. Every year, I'm waiting for the headline that comes out post spring break or during spring break of some hideous tragedy. And it never fails. There's always a story, unfortunately. You know, with 1.5 million US students traveling for spring break every year, you know, doom and gloom is bound to happen at some point. You just pray that it's not somebody that you know or somebody that you're related to. And I think what people are going to walk away from this tragedy talking about is how you don't leave your people. That's rule one, especially when you're in a foreign country and you're traveling with a group of people. My daughter's in Vietnam right now. Her son's in Japan. We think about it all the time. You have to have accountability. And a buddy system is a great way, especially if you're a big pack, group of guys, a group of girls. Assign a buddy right away, and you both are in charge of making each other accountable. Jen and I do this when we go out at night. I always have my eyes on her. She knows where I am. You have to know where your people are at all times when substances and alcohol are infiltrating, because it makes it even more of a reason to keep your eyes on the prize.
Yeah. And we're hedging this situation in today's society where everyone's a world traveler. You don't know the culture, you don't know the norms, you don't know the neighborhoods. But yet we have a comfort and an ease because we're all now world travelers.
Well, because our phones can get us there, and we can decipher languages. We rely so much on our phone. What happens when your phone's out of batteries and you're in a foreign country and you can't find a charger, or your phone all of a sudden is glitching and it's not working, and you have your tickets for your train and for your plane on your phone, and you really haven't done your due diligence? Before we used to travel, I would buy a book on the country that I was going to, and I would read what I needed to learn about that culture prior to going so that I could map out my trip. Before going to Morocco, I wasn't just going to wing it and rely on my phone, which I didn't have back then. We wanted to understand, how were we going to be safe in that culture, and what were women expected to wear? What should we be on high alert about? And I don't know that people are doing that. I think they're flying into places and they've got their phones, and that's what they are relying on as their wingman.
And largely that's in fact that, because your phone literally can do everything. It's your camera, it's your plane ticket, it's your wallet, it's your ID, it's a translator, it's your reservation system for tickets for food.
It's a Google so that you can find a place if you don't already have it mapped out. You can book your hotel and your Airbnb the same day.
But what happens when you don't have that phone? And what happens when we're becoming a society, not just in the US, where you don't look up the maps that you paid attention to when we were young? You would have a map and you would know points, and you would take a landmark and you'd make a right at a road, and you were immersed in your surrounding. And now, you know, you're on your trip and you're just listening to a device that's like, okay, at the next right that's coming up in 450 feet, make a right. And if you make a mistake, it'll redirect you. But sometimes you can get turned around because sometimes your map isn't caught up.
More often than not. And if you're putting in walking directions,
it's crazy.
I can't tell you how many people I see in New York City being led by their phone, and they're about to cross the street. They're not looking up. And then they realize, oh, they're in the wrong, and they turn and switch gears because the map is readjusting and telling them to go the opposite way.
Or God forbid you walk into traffic, and you've seen near misses on that a ton in New York City. At least I have. I think that phones are a luxury and a curse. And again, it's a lot of trade-off. It's how much do I want to be a world traveler, and how much do I want to be safe? I have plenty of friends who do not like to travel, do not want to get on a plane, do not want to go anywhere. They don't want to leave their backyard. So being a world traveler, you're giving up some safety. You're giving up some of that security of knowing.
Well, you're going outside of your comfort zone.
1000%. So you need to be careful. And I think some of our kids today, because they've grown up in a society that this is the norm, they didn't have to grow up where you had a map and you where you were going, that they have a more entitled, for a lack of a better word, ability to just go anywhere and do whatever they want.
Traveling is complicated on its own. To plan a trip from front to back requires a lot of logistics. So now you throw in risky behavior, alcohol, and you're increasing your odds of having an accident or having something happen because you've got carelessness. You're hyped up because you're with a whole crew of friends, and you're letting it go because you're not expected to behave a certain way. You're not at school. You don't have practice. Your parents aren't watching. And this is where every great movie from the 70s and the 80s came from, wet t-shirt contests and spring break or bust, carloads of kids driving down to Florida, Daytona Beach, Fort Lauderdale, to the Keys, wherever. They find a place to go have fun, but that fun always has risks. And unfortunately, drowning, motor accidents, balcony falls, alcohol poisoning, and overdosing fentanyl, those are all very big statistics with this crowd, this age, going off to have a really incredible week.
Yeah, well, they're at an age where they're not fully developed, and to much of the dismay of parenting these days is they have not been given a lot of the social skills that we had growing up. There are kids that are not encouraged to go out and play. They're not encouraged to go into town by themselves. They're being micromanaged by their parents on a daily basis. And when there are problems, we're fixing them for them. So they're not able to process things. They think that everything's going to be taken care of. And that's partially part of the problem. There's an arrogance built into the way they operate. We can operate when we travel. We
lack of troubleshooting skills.
Right. We expect things to be handled.
Well, we end up doing things for our kids. And I said this many times, one of the most invaluable gifts of Mackenzie going abroad and being in Australia, she was in a country that the way was not paved for her. And I couldn't help. I could not enable her on any level. She had to do everything herself. So because of that skill set she gained, I feel confident about her being in Vietnam with 4 boys that she met while in Australia and going on from there to Thailand. I don't know that I would have felt so confident about her going, but she's lived in another country now for 18 months. She's almost 25 years old. She's had to learn that you can't get out of control in a situation like this because it's risky and you're a target and you've got to have eyes in the back of your head. I did get a little upset with her the other day because I didn't have her itinerary. It's constantly evolving. And that's the problem with this generation. They like to fly by the seat of the pants. Before, we really couldn't. We had to go get our American Express travelers checks, and you had to have everything laid out. I love the spontaneity of today and the fact that you can jump on a plane and make your flight the same day and land and figure out where you're going to spend the night and not have to have a hotel reservation a month in advance. It's a wonderful luxury, but it's also a bit of a curse because I said to Mackenzie, I need to know your plan. I want to say, okay, today she is in Hanoi and tomorrow she's going to be in Bangkok and I know where she's staying. And then she's flying to where in Thailand. I need it mapped out for me.
Yes. And that's where we get to a place where if we're looking to be good parents and role models, we need to have agreements with one another. It starts up with where are you planning to go and with whom you're going to do that. And hopefully most of the time you can travel with a buddy. But if you can't, even more important and imperative that you let people know your travel plans and then how you're getting home, when your end date is. So if you don't arrive like this boy who disappeared from University of Alabama, the kids knew something was wrong when he didn't come home because he was expected to be. And then they were able to alert the authorities, which ended tragically, which is very sad. I don't know that always can be averted, but if you can mitigate some risks by doing those things, that's what we're trying to get to. You don't want your kids to be afraid, but you want them to have what we call in our house situational awareness. We want you to understand some of the risks. My nephew is studying abroad right now and was at this bar a few weeks prior and goes to the University of Alabama. He said that it was a sketchy spot from a safety standpoint. We've gotten so accustomed in the United States with there being guardrails and there being signs for legal reasons. When you travel, there are places where you can literally fall off a cliff if you step wrong because they're assuming that you know your risks. And that situational awareness of going out, knowing the neighborhood, if you're going on a hike, if you're going out into the wilderness, understanding what the potentials are. And doing a little bit of research and due diligence and having wherewithal is critically important.
We have to hold our loved ones accountable for a plan. And as much as you want to fly by the seat of your pants, it's not fair to the people that you love and the people that want to hold you accountable on some level so that if, God forbid, the unfortunate happens, you can recount, go backwards, and try to put the pieces together. Thankfully, all these countries have cameras, and they were able to see that Jimmy Gracie left the club at 3 a.m. and that he was talking to somebody by the front door. And then he was walking towards the water alone, and they captured the fall into the water off the dock on video. A lot of places don't have cameras. A lot of places that you go, like in Nashville, somebody walking home from a bar and you see the walk progress as they go past places. And then there's blank information because there's no cameras in certain areas. That's what we can't rely on, that it's going to be captured. It's going to be traceable.
Yeah.
We can't think like that.
And the reality is that you don't want to have to trace it, because 9 times out of 10, you're tracing it for not a good reason. The cameras are going to help you. Hopefully, what we're trying to profess is to have that situational awareness and plan. You don't have to go backwards.
Don't rely on your kid's phone or friend's phone and GPS to show you exactly where they are, because in this case, his phone had been taken by a known pickpocketer. And at what point did that happen? Did it happen in the club? Who knows? There's a question mark there. So you can't rely on devices. Maybe you'll get the last ping or the last text or the call, but we can't rely on that. We have to rely on information, just like Jen said, an old school map. Before you went on a road trip, you pulled it out, you highlighted your route, you were familiar with the interstates you were taking, you were familiar with towns, you kind of knew where you could get gas. It was mapped out. We need to map out where we're going and what we're doing and who we're with, so that we have a plan and we can inadvertently encourage safety measures because of this.
Absolutely. You can't be afraid when you plan, be prepared. It's like the Boy Scout rule, right? If you run into an issue and you're prepared, then you've got a much easier way out of it than if you didn't have a plan prior. So having a meetup spot, if my phone dies, having a code word if you're not comfortable, having those kinds of conversations with your child before they travel are good tools that they can implement, and hopefully they don't have to. Hopefully there's never a phone that dies. Hopefully there's never a lost person.
But that's not realistic.
Don't lose a bag and have no clothes. That's the other thing that you learn. There's these little nuances to travel that can make it so much easier, safer, and more enjoyable for everyone involved.
Backup batteries, have them charged. I was stressed when Mackenzie landed into Vietnam because she couldn't charge her phone on the plane. It was an older plane. And when you're in a place with a lot of people and a lot of action, it drains your battery really quickly.
Turn off your Wi-Fi.
Turn off your Wi-Fi, learn how to save battery. And when she got there, she had 17%. She still needed to hook up with the guy. She was using her phone as her map. And I was panicking because it's the middle of the night, our time. And I'm thinking, how the heck is she going to get her phone charged? Find a place that you can buy a battery that comes with a charge. All these things should be mapped out beforehand. You should have 2. If you're traveling significantly, have 2 chargers charged up and ready to go, and only use one for whatever it is that you're doing recreationally, but have one backup as an emergency. I need gas. I need to juice up my phone because I need help or I am injured. Whatever it is, it's almost defensive driving.
Yeah. And defensive phone protection, because phone theft remains the top crime. Pickpocketing, because they can resell the devices.
And then we're screwed without it.
And the problem with not having the phone is everything's on it. It doesn't matter if you have a charger. And if you're in a foreign country, trying to get another phone is very challenging. My nephew who was traveling had his phone stolen, and he went after the kids that stole it and ended up getting it back.
Shocking.
But there are campaigns all over Europe that say, be aware of your phone, put your phone away when you're in large crowds, because people are taking phones. Most people are completely lost on every level without a phone. And especially if you're in a country that you don't speak the language.
Take a picture of your passport and save it to your notes. If your phone gets snagged or your bag gets snagged, you should have photocopies of your credentials that you put in a different place beyond where your passport is, so that if, God forbid, any of this happens, you have a backup set of credentials that can help you when you go to a U.S. embassy.
Everything's on your phone and nobody thinks about paper anymore, which is a problem.
Paper tickets.
Paper
I'm
is
still
good.
a fan. A paper ticket.
Write
Get
it
me
down.
into a concert instead of you having to scan my phone that's about to die. We could chirp all day about the pain and the pros of having a phone, but don't let the phone be your child, your friend, your significant other's wingman, because it's unreliable. You have to have a plan in place, map it out. That's our feedback today.
Absolutely. I just want to read back to honoring the Jimmy movement. This was sent to me by a friend. The Pact is your pact. Jimmy Gracie should still be here, so let his name mean something. Let's Jimmy. Arrive together, stay together, leave together. No one gets left behind. Not for a minute, not for a drink, not for anything. Because sometimes you're not okay enough to protect yourself, and that's exactly when your friends are supposed to. The Pact is your pact. Make it universal, make it automatic, make it how every night out begins. Let's Jimmy. Gives me the chills. And
I hope it really tips.
I think it will. I think that everyone in life needs a wingman. Somebody when they're in a good place, in a bad place, in a challenging place, have somebody they can go through it with. And that's why I love my wingman right here in life.
Well, we have a fantastic Got Grit wingman for anybody.
This wingman is an organization. It's called ActionAid. They're a global organization, and their mission is to achieve social justice, gender equality, and poverty eradication by working with people living in poverty and exclusion, especially women. And what I really like about ActionAid is they want more action and less aid. They want people to get involved. Of course, every organization needs financial backing, but they want the leaders and the innovators in places where people are being marginalized to stand up and speak out and get involved. ActionAid is doing a lot of work, especially for young girls who are being put into marriages, being put into work camps at a very young age across the globe. And we want women to be empowered and to live the life that they would like to live without some of these social obligations that have been established in years prior to be their norm. So we'll put a link to this organization and their video explaining who they are. Get involved, make a stand, have a say, and have conversations with people about what you don't think is right in the world and bring some social justice.
Communication is everything. Without it, we're nothing.
Agreed.
And on that note, the lyric that I'm going to read today, I was obsessed with both of these artists and they did a collaboration. It's very in line with what we just talked about. And with the Got Grit Award, we all need someone. And I'm going to read this. Because you are my kind. You're all that I want here in this life. Until we are gone, our breath and our skin, our hearts and our mind, they're one and the same. Because you are my kind. We're one and the same. You are my kind.
I love that. I don't know who that is.
Santana and Seal in a collaborative song called You Are My Kind.
Oh, see, now I'm going to go play that. And if you haven't been listening to our playlist, you need to listen to our playlist because I don't know that song and I'm excited to add it.
Oh, it's fantastic. I am obsessed with Seal and Santana. It came out in 2002.
Okay.
And you can have a lot of people that are your kind. Just make sure that you find your kinds, because this is what we're here on earth to do, is find our people, communicate with them, love them and protect them, and just
be kind.
Be kind.
Treat others as you'd like to be treated. We're coming up upon Easter, giving fully and completely and loving in the way that Jesus does and the way we want the world to be, which is kind.
Back to Jimmy Gracie. We're going to continue talking about him in his name. I kept reading Instagrams that were his fraternity brothers and friends posting on his behalf. And the repetitive words that I read was that he led so many people to God. He had faith. And because of his faith, his friends were okay knowing that he was in a better place with his maker. And a lot of them had become more confident about religion because he had shared that gift with them.
That's beautiful.
Need I say any more?
Yeah.
One of my kind.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Girls Gone Gritty. Share love and kindness, and we look forward to seeing you again next week.
See you later.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Girls Gone Gritty.
Visit us on Instagram, Facebook, and now TikTok.
If this episode hits home, share it with someone who needs to get gritty.
Own it and put the it in grit.
See you next episode.